This is my grandma Lotty. She is my dad's mom. Welcome, Lotty. I'm excited to ask you some questions.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Can you tell me where and when were you born?
Yeah, I was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1942 at Ford Hospital.
Tell me about your family growing up.
Well, we lived in Detroit and I was the middle daughter. I have a sister that's 4 years older than me and a sister that's 5 years younger. So my sister and I played together quite a bit, and my older sister and I. And then when my mom was having our birthday party together, we had a birthday party the day between our birthdays, and she wasn't there because she had to go to the hospital and have my baby sister. And I was so mad that she wasn't there that when people asked me about my baby sister, I would say, I'm going to throw her in the trash can when Mom brings her home, because my mom wasn't at my birthday party. But we had a lot of fun together, and we've become very, very, very good friends as we've gotten older.
What was your childhood house like?
We lived in Detroit until I was 8 years old, and that was a sweet little house. It was smaller than the house we moved to when I was 8, but I missed our first house because it was comfortable for me to move to a bigger house, even though it was nicer and I had my own bedroom. I missed my old house for a little while, but eventually I got used to it because I got to have my own bedroom, and that was fun.
Did you have a favorite thing to do with your mom?
I did. My mom, I'll tell you something really wonderful about my mom. She was a good listener. And so if I would come home from school or be with a friend or have something I needed to talk about, she was always home, always there to listen to me. And that was really, really special, to be able to tell her what was happening in my life and her to sit and listen and care. That was really important.
What was your favorite thing to do with your dad?
Well, my dad, it was the opposite. He talked a lot and told fun stories about his childhood. So listening to my dad was really special. As we got older, we would every once in a while take a really fun trip. And my mom had parents that had a little cottage on Cass Lake, and we would go to the cottage when we were little, and Dad would swim with us, and we had fun in that little cottage.
Are you the oldest, youngest, or middle?
I am the middle, and I loved being the middle. I always thought, gee, I can have an older sister that I kind of look up to and think is really interesting, and I sort of looked up to her because she was quite a bit older. And yet I have a little sister too, so I know what it's like to be sort of helpful to my little sister. I really liked being in the middle.
Can you remember a favorite memory with your sister? Was there a game you liked to play?
Yes, actually, when we were younger, we used to play jacks out on the front porch. And then when we were a little older, we took tennis lessons. And we couldn't always go to a tennis court because it was far away. But what we did was we'd have Mom and Dad back their cars out of the garage, and we'd stand far away from the wall that was part of the house that was inside the garage, and we'd hit tennis balls against the wall. We drew a line where the net was supposed to be, and inside my parents would hear this boom, 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 boom. But they let us do it all summer long. We'd hit tennis balls against the wall. It was fun.
What was your favorite food to eat?
Well, you just reminded me today that I loved artichokes. I did not like vegetables. In fact, I didn't like very many foods at all. There were many sweets in my house, and that's what I would have liked. And the sweet that I liked the most were homemade Toll House cookies. And when I got old enough, I learned how to make them for myself because I loved them so much. But I did love artichokes dipped in lemon butter, and that was always a big treat. And that was the only vegetable I liked. I really liked it a lot.
Did you have a best friend growing up?
I did. In our first house in Detroit, she was exactly my age, and our parents were friends. And she lived across the street, and her name was Leslie Schneider. And I used to go over to her house, and her mom was really good at making French braids. And I had real long hair. I had hair a lot like yours, long dark hair. And her mom would sit me on a stool in her kitchen and braid my hair. My mom would send me over to Leslie's house, and her mom would braid my hair. But another game we played that I just loved, we would put blankets and towels in her hallway, upstairs hallway, like it was a big magic carpet flying house. And we'd leave little spaces in between the blankets and pretend we were looking out, that they were windows. We were flying in the air and they were windows, and we could see everything down below, the world down below. And we would make believe all the time that when we were like 5 and 6 years old, we would make believe we were on a magic flying carpet.
What type of clothes did you wear?
Well, when I was little, we had 3 different kinds of clothes, 3 different sets. We had play clothes, which were like jeans and a t-shirt. Then we had school clothes that were like skirts and blouses. And then we had dressy clothes that we'd wear for a special occasion. So I didn't love most of my clothes, but I had one outfit that I loved. I just loved it. It was a matching skirt and blouse with big purple plums on it. And I remember I could hardly wait when there was an occasion to wear it. Or I loved white blouses. You see what I'm wearing here? I loved crisp white blouses. And I always had a favorite one that I would wait to wear a special day, like on a Friday to school when I really wanted to look good. I'd save the white blouse to wear because it had to be ironed. It had to be, look really clean and crisp and everything. So I would save it. I loved white blouses.
What is your favorite color?
Yellow, 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 yellow. I loved yellow from the time I was really little. And every birthday cake I ever had, my mom knew when she would order the cake. It had to have yellow roses, candy yellow roses, all over it. Yellow was always and still is my favorite color. It's sunshine. It makes me happy.
Do you have a favorite book?
I do. And this is an interesting one because I did not like to read when I was young. I wasn't good at it. And it was hard for me in school when they'd call my name to read out of the book when we were first learning. And I would be so embarrassed to look at the words and not be able to read them well, to have to sound them out. And so I didn't like reading. I did not like it. And then when I was 15, I was a teenager, 15 years old, I found a book that I loved. It's a classic book called Jane Eyre, and it was about this young girl who had to go to this big house to work, and she worked for sort of a scary man, but it turned out to be a sweet story. That was the first book I ever loved, Jane Eyre. And now you know how much I love reading. I love to read. That taught me how to love reading because I love the story.
What was your first job? And what was your favorite job?
My first job was, I worked in a clothing store right in the middle of town in Birmingham. I worked in a clothing store called K-Baum. And these brothers, the Kirschenbaum brothers, owned the store, and they were really sweet, nice men. And I would try to sell the clothes, and then I'd have to, if somebody left them in the fitting room, I'd have to bring them out and fold them nicely, make sure the whole store looked neat and tidy with folded sweaters and that kind of thing. And it was fun too, because I liked the clothes there, so I'd pick out some special clothes when I got paid to buy from the store. My favorite job, I thought about it recently, and one of my favorite jobs was when I was an actress, and I would act in these 30-second commercials. We lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. That was kind of exciting. So that was fun.
I know you have 4 kids. What was your favorite thing to do when you were a mom?
Well, one of my very, very favorite things to do, and my sister reminded me that was one of her favorite things that we did when we were children. We'd pack up the kids, and when the baby was little, my husband, Gary, would put your dad on his back in a backpack, and we'd walk through these beautiful properties and fields in the summertime, in spring and summer, where we'd all walk, and then sometimes we'd take a picnic and find a place that nobody had ever been, and we'd put a picnic down there, and that was really fun. And then in the winter, we loved to go skiing and sledding and ice skating. We all loved to ice skate. My grandparents were big ice skaters way, way, way back, way back. My old grandparents were beautiful ice skaters, so my mom was a really good ice skater too, and I loved doing that with my kids. I loved it.
Did you have a favorite game to play with your kids?
Yes, we loved to play guessing games, and a lot of time, ping pong. We played ping pong, and a little bit of tennis, but one of our games that we would play just in the living room would be charades, where we'd act out things and we'd have to guess what we were acting out, and we would laugh and try to guess, and the person acting it out would be mad at us because we couldn't guess it. They were trying to show us what it was, and it was really fun. That was a fun time.
How many grandchildren do you have? And what is your favorite part about being a grandma?
Well, I have 9 grandchildren, and my favorite time in the whole world is being a grandma, and I'll tell you why. I have time now. When I was a mom, I had a lot of different jobs I needed to do, cook and clean and make sure they got off to school right and they were wearing the right clothes and they were okay, and being safe and everything. As a grandma, I have all this time just to love my grandchildren. And the coolest thing is, every one of my grandchildren is different. So I get to know these wonderful, special people that love me and that I love. And I love hearing about everything about them. I love hearing about my grandchildren, if they're happy, sad, funny, busy, whatever they're doing or feeling. It's so much fun. So I would say my favorite part of being a grandmother is having time and love. Those are big things, and I have 9 of you.
I know you like art. What's your favorite thing you've made?
The project that's the most fun for me, and I get really excited about it, is when I make a special stool. I've made one for each one of my grandchildren, as you know, and I love thinking about them and thinking about designing, painting it, a little stool that they can step on to brush their teeth. And then I always put on the bottom of it all the information about when they were born and their full name, beginning, middle, and last name, and the time they were born and how much they weighed, so it's like a living kind of a calendar.
Is there anything you still dream of doing?
Yes. One of my favorite things, Olive, is my dreams. I love dreaming about what I can do and what I might do. And a lot of times I don't do it. A lot of times I don't dream. I mean, I don't do what I've been dreaming, But the dream makes me happy. The dream of doing something makes me happy. And this time, I was so glad you were asking that, because I still have a dream, maybe more than one, but the one I have right now is to write a book. I want to write a book, or I would like to write for a magazine. So I'm starting on that dream right now. I got a new computer. Your dad's going to set it up for me. And I am going to follow through on that dream.
Thank you for coming, Lotty. I hope you enjoyed this. I love you. The end.
Oh, Olive, thank you. This is special. I love you a lot.